So you're starting your Spanish journey, and right away you run into these little words like el and la. What's that all about? Well, don't worry, you are definitely not alone. We are going to crack this code together, and I promise by the end of this, you're going to feel way more confident using them. I mean, you probably asked yourself this, right? It sounds a little strange. Why would an object like a book be male and a table be female? It's a fantastic question, and trust me, there's a surprisingly simple logic behind it. Let's dive in and make it all make sense.
Okay, so in English, our life is pretty simple. We just say the book, the books, it's always the. But Spanish, it has 4 different ways to say the. Now hold on, don't panic. This isn't to make things harder. Think of it more like a matching game where all the little pieces have to fit together perfectly.
All right, so let's start with the basics when you're just talking about one single thing. Our 2 starting players are el and la. Let's get to know them because these 2 are the key to unlocking the whole gender thing in Spanish.
So, check this out. El libro. That means the book. Simple enough. We use el because libro is what's called a masculine noun. And here is the big secret, the #1 clue. See how libro ends in an O? That's the giveaway. El and the O ending, they're a team. And on the flip side, we have la, mesa, which is the table. Now you can probably guess the rule here, right? Mesa ends in an A, which makes it a feminine noun. So it perfectly pairs up with la. See the pattern? It really is all about that final letter. It's a matching game.
Whoa! Okay, quick but super important point here. See that little line on top of the E? That's an accent, and it is a total game changer. L with no accent means the, but L with the accent means he. It's a tiny little mark that makes a huge difference, so you've really got to keep an eye out for it.
Okay, so this leads to the big question on everyone's mind. How on earth are you supposed to know the gender of every single word in Spanish? It sounds like a ton of memorization, I know. But believe me, there's a fantastic rule of thumb that's going to be your new best friend. And here it is. This is the golden rule. If a noun ends in O, it's almost always masculine. And if it ends in A, it's almost always feminine. Honestly, this simple 2-step trick is like a superpower. It's not right 100% of the time, but it will get you so far.
But you knew there was a but coming, didn't you? Like any language, Spanish has a few rebels, words that just love to break the rules. Don't let them intimidate you, though. We'll just focus on the main ones you'll actually see in everyday conversation.
All right, here's culprit number 1, la mano, the hand. Your brain sees that O and is screaming, it's masculine, use el. But nope, it's a rebel. It's la mano. It's just one you have to memorize. Another really common one is el día, the day. It ends in A, but it's masculine. Thankfully, there aren't too many of these tricksters.
Okay, you've totally got the hang of talking about one thing. So, what happens when we want to talk about more than one? Well, the great news is the exact same gender rules still apply. We just need to upgrade our articles to their plural versions.
And this part is super straightforward. For masculine words, our little buddy el grows up and becomes los. And for our feminine words, la transforms into las. That's really it.
So, using that logic, one el libro becomes many los libros, the books. And one la mesa becomes many las mesas, the tables. The key thing to notice here is that everything gets an S on the end, the article and the noun. They always have to match.
You're doing awesome. You've mastered the. But what if you don't mean the book, as in a specific book, but just a book? Or what about some tables? For that, we need a slightly different set of tools.
And guess what? All that work you just did learning masculine and feminine pays off again. The exact same rules apply. For a masculine noun, you use un, like un libro for a book. For a feminine noun, you use una, as in una mesa for a table. See? You already know how this works.
And making these plural is just as easy. It basically translates to some in English. All you do is add an S. So un libro becomes unos libros, some books, and una mesa becomes unas mesas, some tables. Simple as that.
Okay, I know that was a lot of info coming at you pretty fast, but you've done a fantastic job. So to help it all stick, we've put together the ultimate cheat sheet with every single article in one easy spot.
And here it is, your complete toolkit. You've got your definite articles, the ones for the, and your indefinite articles for a or some. You've got masculine, feminine, singular, and plural all laid out. Seriously, I recommend taking a screenshot of this. It will be a lifesaver when you're practicing. And that's really it. You now have a super solid foundation for using Spanish articles. Remember, the goal isn't to be perfect. The goal is to communicate. So don't be afraid to make mistakes. The most important thing is to just get out there and start talking. Good luck!